Hello everyone. In this part we are going to look into see how to convert the data inside a SQLite database into a CSV file. Having said that, I noticed there was an issue with the last video where I covered the entity framework, and part of it was kind of because I think at that point my computer was so laggy. It caused some issues with the quality of the video, so I'm gonna try to clarify those points that I want to get across. So it was about this data context class, and specifically about this line of code, I think. So basically what this does is, see, we have this person class here, and so we have a property, a type of DB set person class. This basically maps to our table in our SQLite database. So without this line of code, it's going to look for a pluralized name. Like if this table is, we have person table, but without this line, it's going to look for, because this person singular, it's going to look for people. This property is not related. This can be anything else, but it's going to look for the plural type of this class or table in our database. The other thing, this we can replace this with a variable here, and we can pass through from the main if we want to. Like we could say string db and then use this from the main, send it in right here. We could copy and paste here, and then it's going to give me a bunch of errors because everywhere else I'm using. So I'm just gonna undo this, but you get the idea. It can be done that way too. Okay, so that's that. And also this also creates a database if there is no database, just so you know. So with this data context, normally when you do the entity framework with SQL database, this class, part of this information here, the connection string, and this mostly you'll see inside the app.config. This information will be inside app.config, but having this as C# classes kind of gives you a little more flexibility and troubleshooting, because it's mostly C# code versus XAML code. Okay, I think we are good here. Now we can get into converting our data from SQLite to a CSV file. Okay, we are going to continue from our last example, which was entity framework. So I'm going to create another method here. So static void, let's say convert SQLite to CSV. Okay, let's close our curly braces. So essentially first we're going to read the SQLite database and then convert our data into a CSV file. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up our read method, get people method. We're going to use the same idea here. So basically we're going to create an instance of the database, data context, loop through each record and save it as CSV file. Okay, so let's go say let's use a using statement. Var ctx equals new data context, and then for each for each var person, call as p in ctx dot ctx dot people. Okay, we'll save. We use the file command. If you remember our CSV file demo, tutorial, you'll remember we used file class, I believe. So file, I think we need to bring in the System.io. Let's hit Control dot and bring in this namespace. So file dot append all text, I think. Or we can use string builder, but that's fine. Append all text, and then in here we're going to pass in path of the file, CSV file. We don't have one, so let's call this MySQL Lite data, well, db.csv. CSV. Oh, forgot the double quotes. MySQL Lite db.csv. Okay, that's our file name, and it's going to create in the same folder. And then the contents. So the contents, let's open a string interpolation. So we want to pass in the p.id, comma, one for p.name. I think that we only have ID and name, and then right after that we want to insert a line break. Okay, I think that should be it. Okay, if we did it right, that should take care of it. Let's call this method from our main. Convert SQLite to CSV. Okay. Right, let's run this. I'm gonna actually uncomment this one too. Comment out get people as well. We don't have to read the database. And let's close the database this we are using the using statement, so it's going to close it. We don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's run this and see what happens. Okay, we didn't get any exceptions. Let's open our folder. Okay, we have a CSV file here, and there you have it. So we just converted our SQLite into a CSV file. Okay. We can do the same thing from opposite direction. Not sure we have time. Maybe we do. All right, let's try creating a new database actually. Okay. So let's say static void convert CSV to SQLite. Okay. All right. First we have to read the lines CSV file. So var lines equals file dot read all lines, and we'll pass in this file name, which is MySQL Lite db.csv, right? Let me double check that, make sure I got the right file name. Yep, MySQL db.csv. Okay, and we can say for each var line in lines let's create actually an instance of the SQL the data context. So var ctx equals new data context. Okay. All right. Let me put a breakpoint somewhere here. Or actually, let's first print out to the console. So cv dot, console.WriteLine. Let's print this out. So line dot, well, actually line, this is an array. So, yep. So line 0, and then plus. Let's give it a space. And line 1. So first value and second value. Okay. Let's comment this out for now. Okay, and then comment this one out, and let's call the convert CSV to SQLite. Okay, let's print this out to the screen first, the console. Then we'll convert it into SQLite. Okay, and well, sure, we got the commas because we didn't split the values. So first we have to split the values, and then, oops. So var person equals line dot split by comma. Okay, and then we should change this to person 0 and then person 1. Okay, let's try again. And that's more like it. All right, so we got our values. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to change the database name here to PeopleDB. Okay, now let's open the folder to make sure we don't have PeopleDB here. None. Okay, now I believe that should create the DB for us, and then we have to create a table in there. So we create the data context, instance of the data context, and then let's create a table. So ctx dot database dot SQL query, well, execute SQL command, and in here we're going to pass in a SQL statement. So that we are looking for create table. Let's call this people. Let's do caps so that it stands out. And then we have two properties, ID, which is integer. Let's make this primary key as well. And then we have name, just text. Okay, that should take care of that. This line is going to create a table, and then we can add to the table. And then we can say, instead of printing it out to the screen, we can say, well, let me comment this out. Say person P equals new person, and then we'll map this to our ID equals to person value 0. Well, that's a string, so we have to convert this to int. So int.convert into parser. Okay, and then name equals to person value number 1. Okay, so we create our person object. Now we are going to save this in our database. So ctx dot people dot add p, passing our person object. Okay, so our new database is going to be peopledb, and we are using still the person object, so that's good. It maps to our table, which is here, people table. Okay, let's give it a shot, see what happens. Let me save this and let's build it. Build and run it. Actually, we should do a console.write down here too. Console.write down person one. So every time it adds, it's going to print out the name of the person on the screen. Alright, let's run this. Okay, perfect. Let's go ahead and check out our database, make sure it's created, and we have a peopledb right here. Okay, let's open our browser and check the contents of our peopledb. And we got nothing. That's odd. Okay, alright. Alright, the reason we didn't get any data in there because we didn't save the database. So let's go ahead and do a save changes here. Now we're going to run this again, but we don't want to create the table again, so I'm going to comment this line out. Okay. Okay. I think we should be good. We already create database, so let's run this and add the data. One, and we got an exception. Okay. No such table as person. See, we should have create, because it's going to look for the person table, because we are using this person table. Now, in that case, we can change this to, you know what, that's going to give me too many errors, so I'm going to create another class called people. That's or you know what, let's delete the table, let's delete the database. Actually, let's create again from scratch, because it's going to complicate way unnecessarily. Okay, so let's go back here. We have this. Let's open our folder, delete the database. Okay, database deleted. Let's go back here, uncomment that line that we create the table. Alright, so let's call this person again. Database name is, so I confused myself actually. Database called people, the table is still person table. Okay. Alright, so let's try this again, and I think we should be good this time. Let's add extra string here. I mean extra text. Let's say edit successfully, or edit, just edit. Okay, this record edit, that edit. So just save again and run this. Okay, we have 3 records added to our database. Let's go ahead and check it out. Let's refresh this. Reopen our folder and open database, peopledb. Okay, so we have our data inside our SQLite database. Okay, not so bad. We basically managed to convert our SQLite data into a CSV file and vice versa, convert from CSV file back to a SQLite database. Okay, that's it for now. Until the next one, take it easy. Have a good one.